Robin Hood Radio presents Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens. Michele is a longtime journalist and herself is a published playwright of several theatrical works. She's a frequent contributor to the Huffington Post, Daily Beast, and the Atlantic websites.
Another opening of another show.
Well, apparently by the beginning of April, a decision will be made about lifting the current mask mandate for theaters, as it has been for most of New York restaurants. I don't even know what I hope. I'm as tired as anyone participating in a sea of face coverings, but I do fear losing a good chunk of those who remain willing to pay high prices for tickets. Anyway, stay tuned. Meanwhile, I feel like I traveled the globe this past week without ever leaving New York City, hardly even going uptown. Yes, this was my week of a trio of off-Broadway productions among the finest companies the city has to offer. And the issues, not surprisingly, were tough, difficult, challenging. My first was Prayer for the French Republic, which has been extended several times by the Manhattan Theater Club. This is notable since it's 3 hours long and deals with anti-Semitism in another country. Although it is in English, the family we time travel with from the final years of World War II to 2016 are French. Playwright Joshua Harmon first became known with his controversial, wickedly funny, and highly successful Bad Jews. Well, he's done 4 or 5 shows since then. I've seen them all. But this is his most ambitious project. He spent a few years researching every aspect of how anti-Semitism not only keeps rearing its ugly head, but how even within families, the members have different opinions and ultimately plans. It's a suitcase or a coffin, says one character here. Virtually every family dinner here becomes a heated debate. Is it didactic? Yes, but the playwright also makes the case for not forgetting history. And what a moment this is for just that sentiment. The director is the highly esteemed David Cromer. I don't want to go into more regarding the storyline here. Just know that 10 very fine actors create 10 very real characters. There are at least 3 long and memorable monologues, 2 intermissions. There is some humor, but this ain't Bad Jews. And while it may be about those generations in France a long time ago, well, it could be taking place anywhere. Next, I ventured to the always interesting Vineyard Theater in the East Village, where we are greeted by a beautiful set comprised of mounds of sand and a pair of large yellow umbrellas. The play is called Sandblasted, written by Charlie Evans Simpson, and it's basically about 3 black women, two are new fast friends on a journey of sorts, and the third is an Oprah-like wellness guru who becomes their spiritual guide. The cast strains hard, a bit too hard, but Sandblasted feels like a work in progress. The theme is black women trying to cling to their image and well-being. I'm sick of falling apart, says one, after her arm literally does just that. There's a lot of metaphors here. I don't want to succumb to the sand, says one character. But the show feels too long and often out of sync, though it does end on a call for hope, and we'll take that right now. Thank you. Next, just a few blocks away, I attended the New York Theater Workshop's newest production called On Sugarland. So we've gone from Sandblasted to Sugarland. Now, Sophocles scholars, I am not one, will recognize some of the references or themes here, beginning with the war, not the one that's in the headlines or even in our history, but war as metaphor. Well, that means anything can happen, and a lot of it happens here. A veteran's wound bleeds for years, a slain soldier's daughter has the ability to raise the dead, and so on. Sugarland itself is in fact a makeshift memorial of odds and ends that sits among the cul-de-sac of mobile homes where the half-dozen main characters reside. And they hold what are called pre-funerals. Hey, wouldn't we all like one? Accompanied by a lot of symbolic hollering. This is a long 2 hours, 40 minutes piece written by the hugely respected, for good reason, Alicia Harris. On Sugarland is about veterans, heroism, black lives, and much more. Too much. The 6 main actors, though, are excellent, and the show seems to be touching a nerve with the New York Theater Workshop's fans. Look around you, and you will find there are many things up and running, live and virtual. For example, Generation Women, which breaks down its stories by women of different ages, the 20s, their 30s, now they're in their 60s, blah, blah, blah. That will be performing this week on Wednesday, March 9th at 7 o'clock. The theme is Break the Bias, Unladylike Behavior. Check out generationwomen.com for that. Speaking of female stories, the Public Theater, where I am seeing one to report on next week called Chinese Lady, is also offering 5 monologues by Asian Americans in a show called Out of Time. I haven't seen that one yet, but nice responses. Meanwhile, the entertainment world had another sad passing this week. Tony Walton, a production designer who brought a broad visual imagination to the creation of distinct onstage looks for Broadway shows over more than 50 years. He won 3 Tony Awards. He died on Wednesday at his home in Manhattan at 87. In more than 50 Broadway productions, Walton collaborated on designing the sets and sometimes the costumes with directors like Mike Nichols, Bob Fosse, and Jerry Zaks. He won Tonys for Pippin, The House of Blue Leaves, and Guys and Dolls. He also worked in the movies, often with his wife, who happened to be named Julie Andrews. Finally, the lovely news of a week that certainly needed some. The Court Theater will be renamed after James Earl Jones. It's the second Broadway house, following the August Wilson, to be named for a Black theater luminary. It means a lot, the 91-year-old actor said. It's too heavy for me to try to define. By the way, you might ask, as I did, who was Cort, C-O-R-T? Well, John Cort was a vaudeville performer who by the early 20th century controlled multiple theaters across the country. He was the first operator of the Broadway house that has borne his name, well, until now. So by the time we talk next, I will be discussing 4 shows I am seeing this coming week, including, Jill, a little thing on Broadway starring a guy named Hugh Jackman.
Cannot wait to hear your reviews as I've continued to peruse whatever. Again, it's lacking the verve that one would have expected.
Yeah,
and I'm not. I mean, you know, remember lazy speech when you were in school? You know, lazy L's or lazy.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So the only reason I mentioned that is because you could blame COVID. But but maybe so. I'm
something that I see what you're saying.
I'm looking forward to I'm actually looking forward to Eyes On. And you said you were going with the Tony voter, correct?
I am going with the Tony voter, so it'll be interesting what she says. Matter of fact, they warned her that one of the side characters was not in it. They're very nice with Tony voters. If there's any change of the show, they'd let you know just in case. Now, obviously, if it was Sutton Foster or Hugh Jackman, that would be a whole different thing. This one is Jefferson Mays, who plays the mayor. I love Jefferson Mays, but, we both said that's not what this one's about. Let's just go and see it. No, most people I talk to seem to enjoy it, and then there's that big but.
Right. And so it's like, how big is that? Is it Kardashian sized? Is what I guess what I'm asking.
Ooh, be careful.
The other thing that I wanted to ask is the Patti LuPone company thing. Did you tell your friends, or did it matter?
Yeah, he claimed. Matter of fact, I'm having dinner with that friend tonight. They're in town. I think they're seeing company tomorrow. I believe they were told she'll be back on the 8th, which is tomorrow. So they are holding their breaths. Okay. But that's another one. I'll bet a lot of people. I don't know how I would find that out, but I'll bet a lot of people switch their tickets. Why go see company if you're not going to see Patti LuPone? I hate to say that, but I mean, really.
Well, especially given the review that
there's not enough other.
No, but and I'm not trying to be review driven. I'm just saying that notably the 2 reviews that were the most diabolical from the New York Times were Company and The Music Man. So
absolutely, that's absolutely right. And we've talked about that here. And I even asked Jesse Green at the New York Times if that ever makes him, uncomfortable, second guess anything when other people. No, you go with your own. And by the way, I agreed with him on Company.
Right. That's why I'm curious, because but going back to Patti LuPone being there, if you are going to see a let's call it a reversed company, then you are at least going to want her, just in case that doesn't happen to work for you, you still have the pleasure of seeing Patti LuPone.
Absolutely. The only time I ever did that was when I went to see a show with Nathan Lane. He was a star, but not big star. But they did warn people, and I went there, and they said the part of so-and-so will be played tonight. And I got in that line with people saying, no, give me another night, Not going to see a show without Nathan Lane.
I'm sure that makes the understudy feel really terrific, or the stand.
I know, and God bless them, and they have been heroic during this time, as we've talked about. But no, but what can you say?
Exactly.
Anyway, so I'm seeing that. I've got The Public, and then I've got two way off Broadway shows that sound very interesting, and I'll talk about them next week. They do short runs, but with pretty big names. So anyway, I'll know more by next we speak.
Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens, produced in the studios of Robin Hood Radio, robinhoodradio.com.